And now the survival show that won't survive to drive-by water gun shooting. In this Back to Basics episode, we return to the source, Survival Chi. Corny name, but the serious model ITRH was founded on. Howdy and welcome to In the Rabbit Hole's Urban Survival Podcast. This is episode number 294. I'm your host, Aaron, and you are in the rabbit hole, safe and sound. Some quick notes before we dive in. Again, you're going to hear this repeated for a few episodes so everyone hears it. I recently misspoke. It happens from time to time. It turns out Apple does not pause your feed for a show when that show takes a less than regular schedule. It only happens when a podcast puts out episodes and you don't interact with them for a period of time. In a nutshell, my mistake. My apologies to Apple for spreading inaccurate rumors, vicious or otherwise. The feed was going to stay up indefinitely anyway. I wasn't going to just take the whole thing down when we hit episode number 300. So stay tuned. Maybe I'll drop in on occasions if I have something to say that makes sense as an episode. Sort of like Dan Carlin's Common Sense. Probably not intelligent as Dan Carlin's Common Sense, though. Not making any promises, but maybe. If you are confused and not sure what I'm talking about, the podcast is ending and going on a sabbatical / going dormant for a while. The podcast, as you currently know it, will end on episode number 300. Again, for reference, you are now listening to episode number 294. To learn more, be sure to check out the recent episode titled WTF is Happening to ITRH. With all that out of the way, let's realign our survival chi. The mission of the show is to deliver useful, level-headed information on survival in a way that improves your life today and prepares you for tough times in the extreme circumstances as well. But what does survival mean? Is survival just getting through a disaster? Or is survival really about a quality of life regardless of what's going on? Survival Chi stands for community, health, and intelligence. These are the three areas an individual must focus on in order to develop a balanced and sane approach to the concept of preparedness. Now, personal responsibility and individual liberty are the glue, the force, if you will, that binds all this together. If you do not take personal responsibility for your own well-being in the areas of community, health, and intelligence, the odds are not going to be in your favor. Without individual liberty, personal responsibility withers and generally is not possible. Dependence and tyranny take root. Preparedness can produce a sizable positive impact in your life. It can also be a dark rat hole. But if you choose for it to be a focus on the positive outcome of your community, health, and intelligence, it provides liberty, options, and a decent level of control. Why is it important, and where does it all come from? Most people's journey into survival and preparedness, or whatever you want to call it, begins rather abruptly. Something freaks you out, and the next thing you know, you're reading and listening to everything you can get your hands on. Another common scenario experienced is people fall on hard times and come to appreciate things can and do go wrong, regardless of where you live or what you think should be so. Another way to think of this is you are the protagonist in your story, and some big hairy-ass world-ending event is your antagonist. Very soon in the process, too soon in fact, there's the gear. Lots and lots of gear. You eventually come to understand most of the gear and early preparations focused on the least likely event. They often fail to balance improving your life today and insulating you against the crashes of tomorrow, whatever crashes means to you. What's lacking is a model to focus your efforts. With the right model, your focus changes. It goes from being a journey of worrying and concern with the dramatic to focusing on what affects our lives today, day by day, and what are the likely things to go wrong. Ultimately, the realization hits. The answer to life's questions, or whatever issues we're concerned about with, are not hiding in the bottom of a bug-out bag. They're also not likely hidden in an isolated cabin in the woods. But what does community health and intelligence mean? Okay, let's start with community. Through community, we learn, we grow, we receive, and give support. There's an important part there, both the giving and receiving. Paying it forward and investing in a community through teaching someone newer makes us better, no matter what we're doing. So, watch, do, teach. The whole idea is to learn, teach, and give support, voluntarily, of course. Community is a resource. It's a special resource. We have evolved as communal animals for a reason. It's one of the best survival strategies. Community begins with your immediate family and closest friends. Then it expands out in ever increasing circles until you put a limit on it. Through community, we share knowledge, we share experiences, both good and bad, and we learn from those experiences, good and bad. Probably one of the most important aspects of community in survival, as John Haywood, the poet, once said, was many hands makes light work. Once you build a community around yourself, life gets a lot easier and is filled with more joy. Here's a misconception we should probably clear up. No one person is a lone wolf, even lone wolves. A healthy wolf without a pack is merely in transit seeking out another pack. Or a lone wolf is looking for a quiet spot to die away from the pack. Which are you? It takes a community of individuals to thrive. This is also not about force or forced sharing or anything like that. That's tyranny and goes against free will. I don't know about you, but my best memories today are not about a sub-MOA group, building a fire, or receiving some great new gadget. The best memories with the most joy are about shared experiences. They are also where I learned the most. This positive ecosystem then feeds into health and intelligence. Moving on to health. Physical and mental health are your best hope for survival, regardless of the situation. Health is also about your financial health, and the three are interrelated. We work to hone each constantly. At least, I hope you're not a couch potato or someone spending too much time thinking about the zombie platypus apocalypse. Without a sound mind, life will always be a trial. Health, sadly though, is typically the most under-nurtured and appreciated survival skill. I think a lot of people don't really realize just how influential your physical health can be on your mental health, and vice versa. If you're getting exercise on a regular basis, say 3 days a week or more, even if it's just a short walk, you really do start to feel better for a number of reasons. One, your body starts to release more endorphins and lets go of some stress. Two, you get into better physical shape and your immune system improves, and you also have the added benefit of looking better. You can't fight the zombie platypus horde 100 pounds overweight, smoking 2 packs a day, and being a couch potato. All the guns in the world won't help if you are a spare rib away from a heart attack and get winded walking up a flight of stairs, right? There are some great case studies in the book, The Survivals Club, if you want some real world studies illustrating how big of a role physical health plays in survival. Health is just as much about financial health, though. Poor financial health impacts the other two. This also speaks to being wise about the money sunk into preparedness, only focused on long-term grid-down scenarios. If money is already tight and you go drop $5,000 on a goofy home freeze dryer you only use to store up for the zombie platypus attack, you're not making sound decisions. Maybe you first learn to grow so much food, it's a problem. Then you play with a dehydrator. And when you can both afford and justify the freeze dryer, maybe rethink long and hard about the economics. The same goes for guns and all other toys, because Armageddon isn't a solid justification, though fun. The Radical Personal Finance Podcast is a great show to check out if you want more help with this topic. Give it a listen. Now, all this doesn't mean you need to be a gym rat, someone consumed with self-help and a self-made financial guru. But it is easy to write these three off, focus solely on why you can't. Maybe spend that energy thinking of how you could. A little of both goes a long way towards being better prepared and reaping some of the benefit of a long, happy life. That is why you're preparing, nope, a long and happy, or at least the longest, happiest life you can. Your ability to learn, adapt to any situation, overcome obstacles, is what intelligence means in this context. Strengthening and hardening your mind, in other words. It means going out and learning. Learn from your community, learn from experts, take courses, read books, then work to apply the knowledge so you gain wisdom. There is a big difference between pure data gained from sources and the wisdom procured through experience. Long ago, there were many things I read or heard about raising rabbits and chickens. But the application is where I learned what the data actually meant. That's wisdom in simple terms. Intelligence isn't about your raw IQ. It is about the active pursuit of knowledge and wisdom through experience on how to apply knowledge. Intelligence is going to teach you how to be a better member of your community. It will help you deal with your health better, whether it is mental or physical or financial. Final summation. Preparedness should be an empowering topic and practice. Survival, especially modern survival, is about tending to your community, your health, and your intelligence. It's about living well, and letting live. It is about ensuring you stay safe and sound in good times and in bad. This all takes a special force to pull together: personal responsibility and individual liberty that binds Chi together. If you do not take personal responsibility for your own well-being in the areas of community, health, and intelligence, the odds are not going to be in your favor. Without individual liberty, personal responsibility withers, and generally is not possible. Again, dependence and tyranny take root. Survival and all the other pieces we're talking about afford you the ability to make choices, and those choices can be the choices between a good option and a bad option. The extreme options are the difference between living and dying. It can also be living well, living poorly, and those options are another thing that help take away fear and give you liberty. See, these things are all intertwined and related. Where do you even begin to implement them in your life? Well, before doing anything, ask yourself if it either harms or benefits any of the three primary survival Chi areas, whether we're talking about doing something for preparedness or doing something in our daily lives. If they harm or if they do nothing for those things, then consider cutting them out. If it's a positive impact, ask yourself how you can do more of those things, or more things like that. Always seek solutions rather than reasons you can't, even if they're small. Finally, write out your goals for furthering your survival Chi in ways that prepare you for tough times, but also benefit you today. And that's what I think about that. Damn it. Show notes, links, and resources from this episode can be found by going to intherabbithole.com/E294. Or if you're watching this on YouTube, just look in the description section below this video. And speaking of YouTube, if you're watching this on YouTube, be sure to do all that YouTube stuff. Throw us a like, subscribe, and slap that bell around because bananas are yellow. With that, we wrap up episode number 294 from the Lone Star State. Till next time, stay safe and sound.
West.